When sin is fully blown, it leads to death. And that could be death of your family, it could be death of financial freedom, it could be death of a friendship, it could be death of your reputation, or it could be literal, actual, physical death. And for some people, eternal death. Because the wages of sin is always death. And it's because of what we do. And we have got to wake up and realize that this is the process, this is the steps. James goes on and he says, don't be deceived, my dear brothers. He gets this. James gets this. He says, those who are on this path, who are nursing these desires, are deceived, and they think they're okay. It's as if they've been blinded. Not only to the road or the destination or the danger that's ahead, they've just been dwarfed with that, but it's almost as if they've been blinded to the other road. The road that leads to life. Because what happens is when you get into this process and it's taken control of you, or you've allowed it to get too far, your eyes are taken off the prize. The life that he spoke of earlier that I began with, that was mature and full and lacking in nothing, the crown of life. You stop seeing that goal, you stop seeing this destination, you just get on this destination and you're deceived, and you follow this destination one step at a time until you arrive. You arrive not at the place you plan to arrive, because none of us plan to go there. None of us want to go there. But many of us go there because your destination is determined by the steps you take, not your intention. Your intentions can be pure, but it's the actual steps you take that get you into trouble. So we arrive at the wrong place. And it's almost as if along the way, because we're looking at this and concentrating on this, I can manage, I can hold it, I'm going to manage, be okay with this. We take our eyes off the prize. Life that lacks nothing, the good life, the crown of life, the good life. And he says, we're deceived. He says, don't be deceived. He says, my dear brothers, he's pleading with them, don't be deceived. And he goes on and he says this, because every good and perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of heavenly lights, who does not change like shifting shadows. He chose to give us birth through the word of truth, that we might be a kind of first fruits in all he created. What he has for us is good and perfect. What he has for us is life, the crown of life. A life to be offered to him as perfect. Valuable to him. He created us to live a life that not only brings us joy and fullness, and to be able to say it's complete, lacking nothing, but a life that can be valuable to him, pleasing to him. He says he calls us that we might be a kind of first fruits to all that was created. Now, to most of us guys living here, we think, well, what does he mean by, what's he bringing about fruit in here? I thought we were over that bit already. But remember, he's writing to Jews. And when the Jew hears the word term first fruits, what does he think? He thinks offering. Because here in their culture, in their law, in their faith, they were brought up for generations since they came out of Egypt, was this: you give the best of your crop, the beginning of the harvest year, to the Lord. Take the first fruits of everything, your best. Lambing season comes, you take your best lamb, not the old runty grunty thing with one eye and one leg. You take the best one. You take your wheat crop is up and it's awesome. So then you do the first harvest and you take the best bushels and the fruit trees, and you don't take the old rotten apple with the sting in it. You take the best shiny ones like those there, and you take these things, and out of a recognition of God's provision and your worship for him and your praise of him, you take the best things and you offer them to him, and they're sacrificed, they're burned up, they're given to God, and you're saying, God, you gave us everything, we return to you the best of what you've given us, as recognition for who you are, as an act of worship These are the first fruits. It's the offering of our pleasure. And he's saying, that should be us. That should be us. He wants to give you the good and perfect gift, the perfect thing, and he wants to give you a life that is considered by God a first fruit offering, a life that is pleasing to him. When he sees your life being spent, he can look at it and go, that was a good one. That guy that I had born on that day, man, he'd been through the trials and he stood the test, and he'd been tempted again and again and again. And each time he was tempted, because there were tons of them, he could see the danger ahead and he would turn and he'd run and he'd focus on the goal of life. Take his eyes off that nonsense. Focus on the goal of life. Every good and perfect gift coming down from the Father of him. He says, I don't want to miss out on that. I don't want to wreck my life and avoid being that. I want to be that for God. And so I take the high road, the better road, the road toward life. The cost is huge. And I don't want you to rob yourself of that. Don't rob yourself of that, being the first fruit. When you see danger ahead, be smart, take refuge. When temptation arises, don't ignore its force. We all know it's hugely tricky and powerful, and it grips you, and you suddenly, your brain just goes to mush, and you stop thinking clearly. You've got to force yourself to think by the power of the Spirit of God in me and the truth of the Word of God in me. At this point, as the desire is peaked, danger, danger, do something about it. Don't be deceived. Look beyond the moment. You see, on the one road, there is, if you're looking down at the situation, there is a moment of pleasure. A moment of pleasure that once it is past, leads to pain. And it starts with the guilt and the shame and the lost job and the aunt and the ill health and whatever. The moment of pleasure, it is a moment of pleasure, and that's why we go for it, because it is pleasurable. And we can handle it, we're men, and everybody's doing it, it's natural, it's a moment of pleasure. So what you've got to do is see the moment of pleasure, but you've got to look up ahead and read the sign and say, it leads to death. Do you want to sacrifice your life for a moment of pleasure? On this road, there's a moment of toughness, there's a moment of difficulty, of suck it up, make the right choice, put it away. And it's hard. We know it's hard, but it's a moment of hard. And once it's behind you, what do you see? And you guys know this, because the times that you have been tempted and you have withstood the temptation and you've said no, and you have stood firm in your faith and it's passed, you feel empowered, you feel good, you feel lifted. You walk through the mall with your head held high, not looking down in shame for what just happened the other day. And I want to appeal to you guys today. Be smart. Not one of us in this room today now can ever stand up and say, how did this happen to me? Why did this happen to me? We know why. We know why. Because the evil desire that is within us was awakened by something, and we let it sit too long. Pretty soon it conceived, it gave birth to death, and death, when it was fully blown, to sin, and when sin was fully blown, it gave birth to death. There's no excuse. So I want to encourage you guys, keep your eyes on the prize, the gift of life, the good life, the life that is so good that God considers it as the first fruits of this year's crop. That's what you want to do. Let's pray together. Father, I want to thank you for these men. Thank you for the privilege of being able to call them brothers. Thank you for the time you've given me to be with them. And I pray and ask, Father, that you would help each and every one of us to realize that we are all going to be tempted always for the rest of our lives. But Father, in the simplicity of this, would you help us always to be men of faith, to be found standing strong. We don't even need to know much. Here's what we need to know. One road leads to death. One road leads to life. Give us the courage and the ability to see the road to life and to pursue it. See the road to death and turn and run from it. But to, Father, eventually get to the other side of the temptation with victory still standing, with our hearts full, our lives mature, complete, lacking in nothing, being a first fruit offering to you because we love you. So we want to give you thanks and praise you in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you.